Hello there, folks. Hope you're all doing well. Here at my college in San Luis Obispo, California, and out here on a typical foggy morning. Nice and cool out in the 50s right now. Fog rolls in every night, pretty much, from the Pacific. Burns off. Check out these palms. So, this is such an interesting climate because, again, you still have that coastal influence. The fog comes in. Nights are chilly pretty much throughout the year. Even in summer, you have lots of nights. Most nights like in the low 50s. So pretty chilly even in summer. But then summertime highs can get, usually in the 70s, sometimes in the 80s or higher. So just a few miles away at the beach, it'll be in the 60s and overcast most of the summer. Here, even just like whatever we are, like 7 miles from the beach, a lot better. And check out these royal palm. That's just awesome. So these things, I don't know if it's because of the start of the year or that's how they usually do it, but coming up super high. But hopefully they let it grow out. But this royal palm, I remember seeing it last time I was here, one of the northernmost in the Western Hemisphere. And that's actually true. I mean, there's one in San Jose, just further north in the Bay Area, California, but nowhere else besides California you can grow these this far north in the Western Hemisphere. The northernmost in the world's a bit further north in the Mediterranean. There's some in like the north of Italy, sort of like near the French border on the Mediterranean. So that's about the northernmost, but yeah, check it out. Just awesome. Foxtail palms. Young jubea, they got a whole row of jubea planted elsewhere on campus. We'll get a video of that soon. But that'll be a huge palm someday. King palm. And you see these huge king palms here. Love it here. And they're, pretty common, very common in Southern California, Central California, and the Bay Area is still pretty common. They're all over here. And foxtail palms are amazing. They look a little yellow. They tend to look like that in California just because they don't get the nutrients. Gotta fertilize them well, but obviously fully hardy here. Queen palms, these are just everywhere here. These are Prochardia, these are rare in this part of California. If you guys know what species this is, I'd love to know. They're rare anywhere in California. Prochardia is not a common species really outside of like tropical regions. It's not a tropical climate by any means. Again, it's in the 50s right now. Winter, it can get down to the 40s. I mean, the average low is like probably low 40s. You've got nights in the 30s, and yet look what can still grow here. It's amazing because it just never gets that cold. I think the record low, I don't know if it's from the campus weather station, maybe it's somewhere else, but I saw the record low from some local weather station was 18 degrees, which is actually pretty cold for this far south. Like LA, there's parts of the LA area by the coast where the record low is like in the 30s, like the coldest it's ever been. So 18 is actually really chilly because again, we are a bit away from the ocean. Still a lot of that moderating influence, but all told, it's a pretty ideal climate for this section of California. Still that coastal influence, keeps it mild in winter, but definitely gets warmer in summer, and it's sunnier than just literally a few miles away by the coast. But it's pretty much year-round, cool to warm, a few extremes, a few very hot days, and a few pretty much no cold days. Just chilly sometimes, but I don't know what that is. It looks like a livistona or something. I actually can't tell what this is. Maybe a brachia of some sort. I don't know. I first thought it was a Washingtonia. Maybe it is just a Washingtonia. But the petioles look different. I really don't know. Yeah, and then these camera ops are just unbelievable. That looks like a Brachia armata there. But yeah. I mean, this stuff's just everywhere here. I know I'm never going to take this stuff for granted because this is obviously always special to me. Every time I see a Washingtonia, even in California, even though they're like every 5 feet, I'm still blown away by them. But yeah, look at this. Got the mountains all around. So that's a nice sheltering thing. It still allows like the coastal influence, the fog to roll in, but shelter some of the cold. I mean, it's true anywhere in California. There's mountains all over the state. So these aren't huge mountains. There's a couple, 2,000 to 3,000 foot peaks around here. But the coast ranges in this part aren't that tall. A few 5,000 foot peaks, I think. But obviously, the tallest mountains are eastern Sierras. But again, still that keeps a lot of the cold out. Never gets too chilly here, like I said. So look at that. Beautiful redwoods there. Those are coast redwoods, tallest tree species in the world. And of course, one of the 2 California state trees, along with the giant sequoia, and fully hardy here. So yeah, check that out. Just beautiful. Yeah, I mean, redwoods obviously are super hardy, fully hardy where I'm from in the DC area, which, if you know anything about the climate there, a lot colder than here. Look at that Bismarck. Pindos are actually decently common in some parts of California, but I see them a lot in San Diego, but like elsewhere, I haven't really seen them much. They're actually reasonably rare in, I would say in most of the state, even though obviously they're fully hardy in a lot of the state. Pygmy dates, those are pretty much as common as queens here, everywhere. King palms. The king palms always look good, really. California, if they're kept watered. Queen palms, you can see it here, get a little bit anemic sometimes. The tall one looks good. Again, these are over pruned right now. I don't know if that's a year-round thing. I feel like it wasn't as over pruned when I came and visited, but yeah, I'm just out here. It's early morning right now, and I just wanted to get this video. And these are just classic windmill palms. There's actually a lot of these on campus, so it's funny. Like, I feel like I had this when I didn't know much about the climate. I thought California was like all like hot weather, and I thought there would, of course, be no windmill palms here because I don't like hot weather. But windmill palms can actually tolerate a decent amount of hot weather, even though they prefer cool climates. But most of California by the coast is actually quite cool year-round. So, Livistona or something there. Some sort of Livistona, of course. Classic Washingtonia. And then you got a big coast redwood there. I mean, it's tiny compared to the ones up north, but still pretty nice. Atlas cedar or some sort of cedar here in the mountains there. And look at the, it's actually a pretty good thumbnail. With the, actually, let me get the royal in there. That's awesome with the fog there. I love that. Pretty much every morning, at least since I visited and been here, the fog rolls in and then it burns off usually like midday or before. It is a pretty sunny climate, but it's interesting, you know, most nights it does get foggy, which I love. I love the cool weather. This is like an ideal intersection of climate, of like, you know, perfect weather, not being too hot, but yet you can still grow a lot of tropical stuff. I'm really amazed by this royal. Look at this thing. So, it's, you know, a good 30 feet at least. Absolutely massive. Again, over pruned, but very healthy. And again, if the record low is 18 degrees here, that obviously would kill a royal. You know, pretty much guaranteed. So I don't exactly remember what weather station that was from. It was the one on Wikipedia that I saw. Maybe it's never gotten that cold here. I don't know. On campus, but this courtyard's, you know, a bit sheltered. But again, this royal's clearly been here for some time, and those leaves look very healthy. So I'm blown away by that. And I mean, again, if it had a full crown, trunk looks healthy. It looks like a very healthy palm. So it looks healthier than the queens, which are obviously hardier and you know, tend to do better here. But you know, that's probably the second northernmost royal palm in the entire Western Hemisphere, which is crazy. You know, you'll see them actually not too rare in Southern California, but like, you know, San Diego, LA area, but very rare anywhere outside of there, and still not very common there. Yeah, it's awesome to see. I love that royal palm. So they got some person in the know about palms, landscaping that little area here. The rest of the campus has got, of course, Washingtonia. There's rows of Canary Island day palms. There's actually a street lined, I might have mentioned that already, lined with young, but probably about that same size, young Jubea chilensis, Chilean wine palms. So someone knows something, but especially this area, clearly they got a palm expert doing the landscaping. So I'm super excited about this. Again, just because I'm in a nice climate doesn't mean I take it for granted. It's like paradise. It's so cool to be here. And yeah, for me, this is about the perfect climate. I don't actually really love like hot weather, so I don't know if I could actually live in like a tropical climate. This is like, you can get away with looking tropical and growing actual tropical, legit tropical plants while the weather's still like, again, cool to warm year round. It's ideal in my opinion. But again, the sun still feels really warm, so it's like in the 50s right now, but it actually feels quite warm. Again, Bismarck, Bismarck palms are pretty common, very common in Southern California, or pretty common, I'd say. Bay Area, I think there's still quite a few. And then king palms, these grow up to Brookings, Oregon. There's a big one in Brookings, Oregon, so you know, if you find a good microclimate, they can grow all the way up to the southern Oregon coast. Just shows how mild it is there, but also how hardy they are. You know, they are very tropical looking. I love them, and you know, an added plus is that they're super hardy. So that's just awesome. That's an Everglades palm. Sorry, I'm just like walking through. I don't know if I mentioned everything. Queens, kings, foxtail palms. There, those two crown shafted ones with the like extra bushy leaves. Yeah, and then that multi-trunking one with the super thin trunks. That is an Everglades palm from South Florida, the Everglades, and the Caribbean, I believe. So just awesome. And then, I mean, look at these windmill palms. These are massive. People think windmill palms don't do well in California. That's completely untrue. Even in the warmest well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I mean, you can probably still grow them in the desert. I've seen them in like the Arizona desert where it gets like, 115 in summer, and they still can look okay if they're watered. But anywhere on the California coast is actually kind of almost an ideal climate for them, so long as they're kept watered. The only time they really look bad is if they're underwatered, maybe fertilize them. But I mean, this just shows you these are some of the biggest windmill palms I've ever seen. The biggest windmill palms I've ever seen, without a doubt, were actually in Southern California, by the coast, because again, it still stays cool there. So it's like a mock Pacific Northwest climate. If you keep them watered, like, the temperatures are actually not so different. Especially in summer, it might even be cooler than some parts of the Pacific Northwest. So that is a complete myth that windmill palms don't do well here. Again, look at these. These are super, super healthy. That one might be a waggy. No, I actually think they're all just Fortunei, but any windmill palm, really, any tricarpus species will do well here. But that's so funny. I mean, look at the grouping of windmill palms next to a royal palm. You don't see that every day. That's kind of like a California thing and these Mediterranean climates. So that's what I love about it. You can still grow like temperate species. Look at this, like, again, you got the redwood, of course, and then these like, cold climate cedars. And then you got the southern magnolias, and then you got windmill palms, hardy palms, and true 100% tropical plants like the royal palm, which just amazes me. So this is an ideal climate for me if I had to live somewhere, and very lucky to be here. So yeah, Mediterranean climates are just ideal. So you got to keep them watered. There's a rainy and a dry season here, but the rainy season isn't like super rainy. I mean, you probably don't have to water at all in winter, just generally, and that's the rainy season. So they'll get a few inches in winter, probably like 15 across the winter months maybe. But summer pretty much never rains here, so obviously they keep these watered. It wouldn't look that good if they weren't. But yeah, so long as you do that, you can grow all this stuff here. But that royal really surprises me. I would not have expected to see that here. Even like Santa Barbara, I was kind of surprised. But I mean, that actually makes more sense. Like, it's definitely colder here than Santa Barbara. And they do have some royals there, a couple that I've seen. But yeah, expect to see more videos on these palms soon, and others around campus, around the area. So have a good one, folks. From San Luis Obispo, California.